August investment portfolio allocation letter. This is something we do every single month. I've talked about how we have increased our wealth a lot over the last 10 plus years, 10, 12 years since I retired from playing hockey, professional hockey. And this is one of my favorite things to do, quite honestly. We talk a lot about current events. We talk a lot about Bitcoin, sound money, if you will. And it's my evolution of going from the professional world and the political world all the way to understanding money. And I've said a lot over the years, if you don't understand both sides of the equation, money and politics, you're not going to really get anything. So if you understand money, you have a chance of getting politics and understanding politics, actually. But if you understand politics and don't understand money, it's not going to make any sense to you. And I came from the political world from 2000 to 2008, 2010, saw the crash happen, and then started getting very curious about the money. What was happening? Why are seemingly both political parties on the same side? Why do they both bail us out? I thought one side was not for that and the other one was. Here we are, both sides are doing it. So it inevitably led me to sound money, led me to reading real estate, led me to reading Creature from Jekyll Island, which I got from the book, and going down the road from Why We Want You to Be Rich, which was ironically written by Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki. I knew who Donald Trump was, but I had no idea who Robert Kiyosaki was. And that led me into reading Robert Kiyosaki's 20 books over the next handful of years. Led me to Mike Maloney, the Guide to Investing in Gold and Silver, the most best-selling precious metals book of all time. And that led me to sound money and understanding the money is broken. Creature from Jekyll Island, the Federal Reserve, and why that, the destruction of money and removing gold and silver from the money left it as a currency. It was no longer money. The dollar is no longer money. We just had a currency, and they were able to siphon, and when I say they, government, politicians, the military-industrial complex, the central bankers of the world, they were able to siphon money, your wealth, your time and energy away from you silently through inflation without you knowing. And that's the whole game. That's where this all comes and emanates from. And then I started hearing about Bitcoin in 2014, 15, 16, a little bit here and there. And then I didn't get into it until 2017, 2018. That's when I really started researching it and studying it, started investing in it in 2018. But I really didn't totally get it until 2019, 2020 was when the light bulb really went off that, oh my goodness, I thought it kind of would exist with gold and silver, stuff like that. And gold is still historically the thing. And that's when I realized in 2020, oh my goodness, when the lockdown started, I realized this is something that's going to completely change the game. Bitcoin is going to be the evolution because of many things, because of the trend. And it's like, I say this too, like, I'm not a genius. It's not that I'm like, oh, I just woke up one day and it's like I was just given the power of understanding Bitcoin. It's the evolution of 8, 10, 12 years of going through this process and seeing this firsthand and studying all these different, studying paper assets, studying real estate. I was in real estate. So this whole time I was in real estate, had a real estate business, investing in real estate, did a couple flips, but that wasn't my game. I loved buy and hold and using other people's money and making money for them and then using money, infinite returns, and renting things out, refinancing, pulling the cash out, redistributing it to investors, and doing that. But then I realized as I was teaching people, though, because I would go on, as many of you know, over the years, since 2015 or so, I would go on and do Facebook Lives and do all these things and teach people about real interest rates and nominal interest rates and what sound money was and what was going on in the world and the macro insiders reports and all these things I was doing. But no one really did what I was doing. I mean, very few, if any, and few people come to me to invest with me, but it only helped the people that were renting from us, our residents, and the people that were lending to us. That was the only people that helped. It wasn't helping the grand macro scape. So that's when I realized with Bitcoin, the immutability, the censorship resistance, and the ability for the average person around the world to be able to just save more than they spend each month. That changed the whole thing. That changed the paradigm. That changed the entire situation for me, realizing, wow, if we keep going this direction and people being more divided, more polarization, more division and hate, which is ironically used by the people at the top, from your time and energy they steal away from you through inflation, they get to then sprinkle it around wherever they want. They get to use as much money as they want. Send it to Ukraine, send it to Afghanistan, put it into media, these media organizations that should be bankrupt, but they're kept afloat because they're propaganda arms, they're megaphones for the people at the top to get you to be fearful, to get you to hate other people, to stoke your human emotions, fear and greed, and they get to do that ad nauseum, and you pay for it through inflation. This is how this game works. So understanding all this, how does this And this is where at the end of the day I realized Bitcoin was the true thing. Among all the other things, the trends, the technology, the way we're going. But what really stuck it was the gold and silver, again, for all the great things it did and properties it had for thousands of years. It always got centralized because you can't move it over time. Or space, sorry, you can't move it over space. It holds its value over time, but you can't move it over space. I can't transact with someone in Thailand right now and give them final settlement because I have to send the gold and silver physically to them. Bitcoin, you can do that. It's perfect digital scarcity that we now discovering fire, discovering the wheel. You can't discover that again. Bitcoin is the end of the road, not the beginning. The cryptocurrencies that have come out since then are garbage because it's not Bitcoin. It's not fire. You can't recreate fire. They can be other things. They can be venture-backed, tech companies, which some of them are. Most of them are just garbage, but they're not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is perfect digital scarcity, and we have that now. So now it opened up my world to, wow, this is the sly roundabout way around government, because governments don't want to give up their control. The people at the top don't want to give up their control to money changers and the issuance of money. But the issuance of money isn't in the hands of the government. We only let them have that. But that's not how this game works. They don't have the power. We have the power. Money is created in the value exchange between individuals, the creation of things, and then the container you hold your time and energy in. It's the container you hold your time and energy in, and then you transact with other people when goods or services are exchanged and created. That's it. Government has nothing to do with that. Government doesn't provide things for us, so government shouldn't be in that game, and they weren't in that game at many points in history, and they keep getting their hands back in the game. And then many people tell me even today, they're very patriotic. The people, they get it. They're like, well, government's they're gonna regulate it. They're gonna take out Bitcoin. Well, number one, you can't regulate Bitcoin. You can't take out Bitcoin. Bitcoin regulates you. Number one. Number two, you are the government. We are the government. We vote for the government. So if we don't like things, we can change them. And if we say, no, that's not the case, Brandon, then you're telling me that your vote doesn't matter, that you don't matter, and then there's people at the top who just run your life for you. So no matter what way you look at it, that's not the way I'm gonna live my life. So which is it? But Bitcoin is the answer because it doesn't get honeypotted. It doesn't get centralized in a bank. It doesn't get centralized in a government at Fort Knox or something like that. So Bitcoin, we have that ability to audit things and assay things quickly and easily and instantaneously, where we didn't with gold and silver. And they would get honeypotted. They would get centralized because it was heavy and it was hard to move. And that's why paper currencies came out. Paper currencies came about, notes, IOUs, because of that very thing. Because it was hard to transact with gold and silver and carry them over long distances and have final settlement. So this process has occurred over and over and over again, and we go back to sound money, and then we go to fiat money, fiat currencies, and break everything, and then we go back to sound money, and this cycle just keeps repeating over and over and over again. So it's the whole adage of, you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So this BRICS currency talk up in the next few weeks, they're going to back their stuff with gold and silver. That's all fun and games. This is all fun and games, guys. You can back the dollar with gold, but we still are going to have these same problems over and over again. And this is where Bitcoin was being worked on for decades in the 20th century and into the early 21st century. And now we have the answer. We finally put all the pieces together. Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever they were, put all the pieces, proof of work, the mining, everything came together perfectly in the right way. The SHA-256, everything, the right way. Boom, you have Bitcoin. But that wasn't the first iteration. There was eCash, there was all kinds of things that people are trying to create for decades. So this is where my epiphany came in over the last handful of years, and realizing, wow, everything I've been studying, everything I've been wanting to fix in politics 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and then the problems that sound money fixed, now we have something where it doesn't get centralized. People can use it and transact with it instantaneously, final settlement, no chargebacks, no fees. Can't be PayPal, or government can't tell you what to do or take money out of your account or anything like that. You are in control of your life now. You have complete control of your property, your wealth, your rights, everything. And this is the end game. The end game is the governments of the world, the banksters of the world, the politicians, this whole cabal, right? And they're not like, there's not like some like a big table they're sitting at with, ball, whatever. People can say the World Economic Forum, things like that, but there's all these arms they use to kind of go that same direction, because these people all think they're gonna get more power. But the whole game is the governments of the world want a one world currency. They want, it's people over here, they want control of the money. If they can control the money, they control everything in the world. The game over, and they're close. They're getting close. They're getting very close. And this is where, ironically, kind of the war of the worlds comes. You have Bitcoin and freedom, or central bank digital currencies and slavery. And this world where we're going, are we going to choose governments, and we're just going to bow down to governments and false idols, or are we going to choose Bitcoin? Are we going to choose objectifiable truth, auditable truth. It's up to us. It's up to us. So that was, and I did it with health insurance, too. So what our portfolio investment letter is about as well is health insurance and going through this process and the scam that health insurance is. We've gone to a crowdfunding solution, which is way more beneficial, takes care of more of your problems, and it costs a lot less. Premiums are lower, deductibles are lower, and we're moving to CrowdHealth soon. We're Zion and Planston. Now we're going to move to CrowdHealth soon, and a Bitcoin-focused company that is solving those problems. And that's what I wish for every person. And everything's being remade. The whole world, incentives are being remade because the fiat incentives are broken and destroying everything. The debt-based world, inflation-based world. We're moving to an equity-based, deflationary world where savings rule the day. Bitcoin rules the day because it's an equity-based system. It's a neutral money that captures deflation and sprinkles those winnings, sprinkles the higher standard of living and the lower costs onto all the people. Instead of the fiat debt-based system where all the wealth is siphoned to the top and they get to sprinkle propaganda back down on you instead. That is the clown world. So we, fortunately, just sold one of our rental properties in Wayne County here in Michigan. It took a while, took about dang near a year since we took over the note from our private money lender, one of my good friends, and we ended up selling that, and we have a lot of it in cash. And, spread around different banks for right now because it's going to be going into other things. It's going to be going into Bitcoin Trading Cards, which is a company that we're working with and investing in and working with, and in the art there we're creating and the education we're creating, investing back in our own businesses, and just some stuff that needs to get paid off that we have coming up in the next 6 to 9 months. So that's what's going to happen here on our end for that. And obviously the Bitcoin, like I said, is a big thing. I mean, acquiring more Bitcoin and dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, which is a good portion of our portfolio right now. And it's going to continue. It's probably going to be 99% of our portfolio in the next couple of years. It'll get there. And I'm not going to rebalance our portfolio really. I might lend against it to go invest in other things potentially, but we're not going to sell Bitcoin. You can lend against it. And so we will be doing things like that to make sure we're not getting hit with capital gains. We'll talk more about that as time goes on. We'll talk more about the Bitcoin trading cards and what's going on there in the art world, because that's a world I haven't ventured into except for the last year here. So I think you're going to be very interested in that. I think the big thing is getting into any assets that hedge chaos, hedge crisis, hedge dollar debasement, hedge dollar printing. So anytime you have the printing, right, you have to find more and more dollars in order to buy things, just like Bitcoin. You're going to have to find more. This is what happens. Bitcoin doesn't change. Bitcoin is one Bitcoin and equals one Bitcoin. But the reason it's going to keep going up in value is because Bitcoin gets more rare over time and dollars become more abundant over time. So you're going to mathematically have to find more dollars over time to buy one Bitcoin. That's why this is so important. That's why when it starts clicking in someone's head, they start really understanding what is going on in the game that's being played. And that's why housing gets more expensive. That's why an ice cream gets more expensive. The hot dog, whatever it is you're buying, all gets more expensive. But the movie ticket went from 5 cents and now it's $50 or $20, whatever. It's because there's more and more dollars being printed, so it's losing value. And you have to find more of those dollars to buy that same movie ticket. So that's our plan. We don't have much in paper right now. Again, I think it's more of a phase 2 when you're buying good companies or dividend-paying stocks or more real estate. When your Bitcoin is buying much more of that, the purchasing power that we have, or those have crashed in nominal terms, so just the price of them in general have maybe gone in half, and then again your Bitcoin, your cash is able to buy more of that asset. Like you can see it in the portfolio in the letter here, I show charts of where and how to see when things are valued or overvalued. Look at the gold versus the Dow chart and seeing when stocks are overvalued versus when they're undervalued. And these are very important indicators to see. And the biggest thing is measuring things against each other. You have to measure things against each other. That's why I love Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, if you go to PricetonBitcoin21.com, you have the ability to see where everything is priced in Bitcoin, housing, stocks and things like that, and everything is going down. Everything is steadily going down, so your life is getting cheaper and cheaper if you hold Bitcoin, because it's the hardest asset we've ever discovered. It's perfectly inelastic. There's only 21 million, so it's the measuring stick. It's the 7th grade science experiment. It's the control. That's what Bitcoin is. It's not moving. There's no moving goalposts. So you can measure everything in the world against it. That's the most important thing. If we can do that for people, and we can enable people the ability in Thailand, in Nigeria, in El Salvador, in America, in Britain, in Scotland, in Ukraine, wherever it is, to be able to save more than they spend, take that difference and put it in Bitcoin, save it in Bitcoin, and get wealthier over time. This is what aligns incentives, right? We talked about crowd health, aligning incentives. Right now, you have health insurance companies that are capped at what they can make and profit off your premium. So what do they do? They increase premiums. They try to get you into other prescription pills and other procedures and all these different things because they need to increase their profits because they're companies. So they're trying to increase their profits. And when they're limited and the government's coming in and interfering with everything and interfering with the free market, now they're scamming their way upward. They're now charging you more for everything because they need to make profits somehow. They want to make profits. So now instead of being incentivized to keep you healthy and to keep you out, they're incentivized to give you more garbage and put more garbage into your body and charge you more for things. And your health insurance goes up and up and up, premiums go up and up and up, deductibles go up and up and up. Our Blue Cross Blue Shield here in Michigan was astronomical. It was $1,000 to $1,200 a month. So I was paying tens of thousands of dollars a year. The deductibles were $10,000 to $15,000 a year. It's like, what am I doing paying tens of thousands of dollars a year? I'm not even getting anything. I'm not even doing anything. I might as well just have nothing. And then I can crowdfund something. I kind of GoFundMe if I need to, if something bad happened. And that's what led me into finding and actually seeing, oh my gosh, there's actually crowdfunding health platforms out there. So this whole system is changing, right? Fourth turning. The younger generations are coming up and seeing that the system doesn't work. Social Security is going bankrupt. Medicare is going bankrupt. The country's going bankrupt. And they're saying, hey, how can we do something different? That's why this sea change, building this system, Bitcoin, the system, the network, the economy, everything on the side, over next to, parallel to the existing fiat legacy sinking system is so important. Because you have to have a bridge. You have to have a lifeboat. Bitcoin is the lifeboat to get over to the new system. Because it's going to be chaos. It's going to be crazy things going on. It's going to get worse before it gets better, as we said many times. That's why we want to prepare. Getting Bitcoin, getting a little bit of gold, silver, food, energy, water, gas, guns, firearms, ammo, security, getting some land if you can, and get prepared. Many of these things can take a weekend, take a day just to do. Go stock your pantry a little bit, go get some food, get some water, get some gas, get some recreation gas, some rec gas that lasts you a couple of years. Do these things to get yourself energy, get a generator. Do these things that don't cost that much money. I mean, you're talking, a couple $100 to $1,000 maybe. Maybe you can spend a couple grand and you are done. In a day or two, or a weekend, you are done and you are set. You can withstand a couple weeks up to a couple months with a couple people to get by in anything, in man-made chaos, in natural disasters. It doesn't matter. This is the point. If we are doing this, we are now less dependent on government. The more independent we are, the more resilient we are, the less we need our overlords. The less people think, well, Brandon, government's going to take it out. Well, Brandon, I can't do this. I can't leave my job because they're telling me to do something that's against my morals and against my ethics, but I need the paycheck, but I need this. Well, if you can go withstand a month or 6 months or whatever it is on your own and you don't need someone else, guess what different choices you're going to be making in your life. This is literally the essence of my being, is helping myself, my family, but other people understand this concept. The more independent, the more resilient we are, the less we need other people. The less we need to make decisions that go against what our heart, what our conscience is saying. That gets me going more than anything. This is a number one thing for me. So I hope you appreciate this letter, going through all this. Commodities, again, like we said, just mention some of that. Gold and silver. Keep these bare assets. Control is what we want. Things are outside the system. Even again, the stock brokerage accounts, life insurance, all these things are paper assets that other people have control of. You have to be careful. You have to be careful. These are things, even real estate, with the deed, with property taxes, you got to be careful. You have to measure your risk. You have to be okay with the different risk you're taking, because if crisis hits the fan, we just saw a couple years ago, people being kept out of an emergency room because they didn't have something injected into their body. You were literally kept out of getting care in cases. And this has happened somewhat frequently. So we have to be prepared for what's coming and what's going on. So if someone's going to tell me, hey, my stuff's going to be there always, Brandon, Fidelity's going to keep my account open always, my brokerage account, they're never going to shut me off. Go ask the Canadian truckers what happened. Go ask people who worked somewhere or needed medical care and didn't get something put into their body before that, what happened to them when they went to get care and they were shut out, they were shut down, they were frozen out. This is a very real problem. This is not just an America problem. This is a problem that's permeating the world. It's the Klaus's Young Global Leaders, right? It's all the people of the world. This is why it was so easy for many of the countries to be on the same page. I mean, when's the last time you saw like the entire world on the same page? I mean, you can't get a room of people to decide on what toppings they want on a pizza, yet all the countries just like, oh, we had the same thing. Besides a few countries, we have the same global lockdown standards. Ask yourself how that's possible. I don't claim to have the answer, but ask yourself how that's possible. I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk today. I really do. Algorithm Hates Truth. It's already been 20 minutes. I'm going to cap this here. And I appreciate you more than you know. Please share this out, because algorithm does hate truth. This is one of my favorite things we do here. Eventually, at some point, this will probably be a paid thing. That's $100 a year or something like that, and where you're getting an insight. And probably have like a special group actually where we can kind of be together, whether it's a Telegram group or a Slack or a Discord channel, where it's $100 a year, and it's the monthly portfolio allocation letter and stuff like that, and then like a room where we can chat together and we can be together actually privately and talk about stuff. So that'll be coming probably in the next 6 to 12 months. So I look forward to that. Let me know if that sounds like something you would be cool with and would want to do, if something you'd be interested in for $100 a year doing that. It'd probably be $10 a month or $100 a year. And you do like a Telegram group, like I said, or a Slack, and then have these letters would be then internalized, because there's a lot of things that I'd like to talk about more, to be quite honest, but I really need them behind a paywall, because I can't say everything I want to say, unfortunately, on YouTube, because we apparently have the First Amendment. It's like sitting in the Library of Congress somewhere, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and stuff like that. But for some reason, we can't actually talk about things, and we can't actually say what's on our mind as free people. So I really want to dive a little deeper, let's say, into some of these things going forward. So thinking of better ways to do that moving forward. So if you have any ideas as well, let me know. And I really look forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun, the most fun, because that's what I love doing. Anyway, appreciate you. Please share this out. Algorithm Hates Truth. Trust but verify. Question everything with boldness. Appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. And this is not financial advice. It's freedom advice. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.